All right, we are going to read chapter 3, which is The World's Greatest Dinosaur War Ever. Okay. I couldn't believe it. The door opened in the middle of math class, and the principal pushed the older raggedy kid in. Mrs. Cordell said, "Boys and girls, we have a new student in our class starting today. His name is Rufus Fry. Now I know all of you will help me make Rufus feel welcome, won't you?" Someone sniggled. "Good. Rufus, say hello to your new classmates, please." He didn't smile or wave or anything. He just looked down and said real quiet, "Hi." A couple of girls thought he was cute because they said, "Hi, Rufus. Why don't you sit next to Kenny and he can help you catch up with what we're doing?" Mrs. Cordell said. I couldn't believe it. I'd wanted my personal saver to be as far away from me as he could get. I knew when you had two people who were going to get teased a lot and they were close together, people didn't choose one of them to tease, they picked on both of them. And instead of picking on them the normal amount, they picked on them twice as much. Mrs. Cordell pushed the new kid over to the empty seat next to me. "Kenny, show Rufus where we are in the book." I watched the new kid sideways. He said, "Kenny? I thought they said your name was Poindexter." The class cracked up, part from his country style of talking and part from laughing at me. I could tell that even Mrs. Cordell was fighting not to break out laughing. Though he was looking friendly when he said this, I kinda knew it had to be teasing, because whoever heard of anybody's mama giving them a name like Poindexter? When he sat down next to me, I tried to imitate Byron's death stare, but it didn't work, because the kid smiled at me real big and said, "My name's Rufus. What are we doing?" "Times tables." "That's easy. You need some help?" "No," I said, and scooted around in my chair, so all he could do was look at my back. This guy was real desperate for a friend, because even though I wouldn't say much back to him, he kept jabbering away at me all through class. When lunchtime came, he followed me outside, right to the part of the playground where I sit to eat. He forgot about bringing a lunch, so I gave him one of Mama's throat-choking peanut butter sandwiches and let him eat the last half of my apple. He really was a strange kid. He only ate half the sandwich and folded the rest up in the wax paper, and when I handed him the apple, he even ate the spots where you could see my teeth had been. He didn't even wipe the slob off first. And man, this kid could really talk. He was yakking a mile a minute, saying stuff like, "Your mama sure can make a good peanut butter sandwich," and "How come these kids is so darn mean?" Then he said something that made me get all funny and nervous inside. He said, "How come your eyes ain't looking in the same way?" I looked to see if maybe this was the start of some teasing, but he looked like he really wanted to know. He wasn't staring at me either. He was kinda looking down and kicking at the dirt with his raggedy shoes. "It's a lazy eye." He stopped kicking dirt and said, "Don't it hurt?" "No." He said, "Oh," then kicked a little more dirt and hollered out, "Ooh boy, look at how fat that there is." "What? You don't see that squirrel?" he asked me, and pointed up at the tree across the street. "That sure is one fat, dumb squirrel." I looked at the squirrel. It didn't look fat or dumb to me. It was a regular old squirrel sitting on a branch, chewing on something. How come you think it's dumb? What kind of squirrel sits out in the open like that with folks all around him? That squirrel wouldn't last 2 seconds in Arkansas. I'd have picked him off easy as nothing. The new kid pointed at the squirrel like his finger was a gun and said, "Bang, squirrel stew tonight." "You mean you shot a gun before? Ain't you? You mean you really ate a squirrel before? You ain't? A real gun? Just a 22. How's a squirrel taste? It tastes real good. You mean you really shoot 'em with real bullets and then you really eat 'em? Why else shoot 'em? Real squirrels, like that one over there. Not that fat and not that stupid. I guess all the fat, stupid ones been got already. Since I been born, that's all that's left in Arkansas is skinny, sneaky ones. I think them Michigan squirrels is worth 2 Arkansas ones." "You aren't lying." He raised his hand and said, "I swear for God. Ask Cody." "Who?" The little shrunk-up version of this new kid was standing by himself up against the fence that runs around Clark. Sorry about that. Watching us. The new kid waved at him, and his little brother came running over. The big one pointed over at a squirrel. "Cody, look at there." Cody laughed and said, "Oh boy, that sure is a fat squirrel. Think you could pick him off from here?" Cody pointed his finger like it was a gun and said, "Bang, squirrel stew tonight." I couldn't believe this little kid had shot a gun too. "You shot a real gun?" "Just a 22, with real bullets." The little one looked at his big brother to see why I was asking all this stuff. It seemed like they were trying to be patient with me, like I was a real dummy or something. The older one said, "Tell him." "Yeah, it was real bullets. What else you gonna shoot out a gun?" I still didn't believe them, but the bell rang and lunch was over. I know he didn't think I noticed, but the big kid gave his little brother the other half of my sandwich. I guess both of them had forgot about lunch. This Savor stuff wasn't going anything like I thought it was supposed to. Rufus started acting like I was his friend. In the morning on the bus, he'd always come sit next to me, and Mrs. Cordell put his regular seat next to mine in school. Every day at lunchtime, he followed me out to the playground and ate half of my second sandwich, then sneaked the other half to Cody. He even found out where we lived and started coming over every night around 5:30. I didn't mind him coming over to play because both our favorite game was playing with the little plastic dinosaurs that I had, and you couldn't really have any fun playing by yourself. That was because someone had to be the American dinosaurs and someone had to be the Nazi ones. Rufus didn't even mind being the Nazi dinosaurs most of the time, and it was okay playing with him because he didn't cheat and didn't try to steal my plastic monsters. The only other guy that I used to play with was L.J. Jones, but I quit playing with him when a lot of my dinosaurs started disappearing. I've got about 1,000,000 of them, but before LJ started coming over, I had 2,000,000. It's kind of embarrassing how LJ got them from me. At first, he'd steal them 1 or 2 at a time, and I asked Byron what I should do to stop him. By said, "Don't sweat it, punk. The way I figure it, 1 or 2 of them stupid little monsters ain't a real high price for you to pay to get someone to play with you." But LJ wasn't satisfied with doing 1 or 2. I guess he wanted a raise. So one day he said to me, "You know, we should stop having these little fights all the time. We need to have one great big battle." "Yeah, we could call it the world's greatest dinosaur war ever," I said. "But I get to be the Americans." And we're going to pause there for today and find out what happens next time.